Hi, and welcome back to the Save It for Parts channel. Today we've got this pile of broken drones that I just picked up for 50 bucks. Supposedly these have all been crashed, they don't work, they have various problems. So we're going to open this up, see what these look like, and see if there's anything worth salvaging in here. First up, we've got this Contixo F22. I've never heard of this brand. I assume it's a knockoff of name brand, but let's see what this looks like. If nothing else, it's got a nice little case. Alright, we've got controller, and we've got the drone, which definitely has some bumps and scrapes on it. I don't see any major damage right off the bat here. See if I can figure out how to unfold this thing in the correct order. It definitely feels pretty cheap. It's kind of poorly put together. Little camera here is not gimbaled. It's just maybe a vertical control. And looks like it does come with one battery. Not sure if there's supposed to be another battery in the case and somebody just kept that when they returned this. I believe these are all store returns, so these are ones that somebody flew and they didn't like it or crashed it too many times and gave up on it. Again, it's got marks on the props like it's been crashed, but I don't see any catastrophic damage to it, at least not physically. So we'll have to see if we can get this one going. Boy, there's like nothing in this battery. This is super lightweight, so these are definitely not a high-end product. These are probably one step above kids' toys and several steps below any name brand drone. All right, let's look at drone number 2, which the case at least looks identical to that first one. All right, this is definitely a different model, has different batteries. Actually has a couple batteries in this one. A little bit of corrosion around the batteries here, so these have either been in water or they've leaked. All right, so this little guy is kind of an interesting one. Again, pretty cheap. No gimbal. It's got these little fold-out wings, if I can figure out how to fold them out. This one feels like it's kind of in rough shape. Everything's really stiff. There's a lot of gunk in here. I suspect this one may have been underwater at some point. It's got a little dual charger. And again, the controller should be just fine, but remains to be seen. More spare props. Actually, this one has definitely been crashed, and they kept the crashed prop, and these must be the spares on there now. Alright, and here is our third as-is drone. Also a Contixo. And this looks like yet a different model. So this is definitely a bigger and beefier guy, and this one has definitely been crashed. We've got a motor separated from the arm here. This is the F24 Pro. Again, no gimbal. This is definitely a significantly chunkier unit. I don't know if that means it's older or if it's theoretically capable of more powerful or higher flight. I'm pretty sure I can glue this back together. And again, we've got a single battery, which again kind of feels like there's not much in there. All right, so that's the initial look at these, at the physical condition. We've got 2 out of 3 that are physically mostly intact, one that looks like it went for a swim, one that has smashed into the ground pretty hard. Let's go ahead and charge the batteries up. Let's throw some super glue on this guy and see if any of these will fly. All right, so this one's charged up. We got the app for it. Controller's charged. We'll give it a try here. It took off and then immediately flew over here and crashed, so kind of works. Maybe we just need to calibrate some stuff. There's a lot of lag between the controller and the drone, so that could be a problem. Well, let's give it another try here. Alright, well it does fly, although it is terribly unstable. I'm not inputting any flight controls right now, it's just doing that by itself, so it's kind of got drunk mode built in. The live video lag is still incredibly bad. I would not want to use this as my primary drone. I'm going to consider this one to be a disposable one that I fly over boats and other stupid places, and if I crash it, I won't shed too many tears over it. Okay, so landing this thing is kind of a chore. It doesn't actually have a ground sensor, so you just basically force it against the ground until it stops. So as far as the Contixo F22, it does work. It is a drone. I think I've been spoiled by having a DJI because this has none of the DJI features. It doesn't auto-stabilize. It doesn't have a gimbaled video system. The video feed lag on this thing is just terrible. It's so slow and jerky that there's no way you could fly this just relying on that video feed. You have to keep your eye on the drone at all times. I'll download the photos and video from this thing and see what the quality is. Alright, the video from this F22 is not great. It might technically be HD, but it's like 20-year-old HD at best. The calibration doesn't seem that great. Again, I'm probably spoiled with the DJI having fairly automatic and hands-off calibration. This thing you have to do the little dance, spin it around, flip it over. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. I shouldn't be too harsh on this thing for its tendency to wobble around drunkenly. I did get this in as-is condition. It does show signs of being crashed, so that probably has affected some things like stability, gyroscope, compass, whatnot. But still, it's a cheap drone. Even without some of those stability issues, it basically doesn't have any features. The video quality is terrible, the photo quality is terrible, the live streaming quality is terrible to unusable. It's not really worth much money. I don't know how much these things cost normally. I got 3 different drones for 50 bucks. I'm glad I didn't pay more than that because they're definitely not worth much. Moving on to the F30. This one has a slightly different controller than the F22 and F24. And interesting enough, now this one's supposed to be a 4K drone, so you would expect it to be a little bit newer, but they've gone with the bold choice of going back to the 1980s here with AA batteries in the controller. I'm not complaining, I just think it's interesting that they went from rechargeables to the old school ones here. As I'm playing with this, I'm finding tons and tons of sand in the controller and in the drone, which adds to my theory that this has been underwater somewhere. Unfortunately, I wasn't filming for the fun part here. I put a battery in this, it immediately made a power-on noise, and then started smelling like burning electronics. So I thought we were going to have a drone fire on our hands for a second there, but got the battery out, got it cooled off, and no actual fire. It's not doing anything now. Like, I put the battery in, it won't even make a noise. So I think we've shorted this one out completely. It just had enough water left in there or enough corrosion that popping the battery in just fried everything. So this guy is unfortunately DOA. And I'm noticing that some of the motors are actually kind of locked up, like there's corrosion or sand in there, so they don't spin freely like they normally would. So may or may not be able to salvage spare parts out of this. I'm just going to throw it in the parts box, and maybe we'll come back to this another day. Moving on to the F24. I've glued and clamped the broken arm here. Yes, it's a little messy, but I think it's going to be pretty secure. So the F24 here appears to just be the bigger, beefier version of the 22. It's definitely a little clunkier. I don't know if there's really all that many advantages to having a big clunky one, other than it can carry a little bigger battery and supposedly it has a nicer camera. I guess they couldn't fit 4K into anything smaller than this. Let's take it outside and see if it goes. And yeah, I can't mount my phone straight on any of these drone holders because then it just pushes down on the power and volume buttons and reboots the phone. Alright, we've done the magic calibration dance. Let's see if it flies. And actually that one motor is not responding. I think I found the problem. This green wire here has a couple strands going into the windings and one of them's broken. I don't know if that's going to be something I can fix. That's a little too small and fiddly for my clumsy hands. But what have we got over here? We've got my old drone parts, which I was trying to make a giant foam seaplane with some of these, and that didn't work very well. I don't know if that video is ever going to get finished. However, I do have some spare drone motors in here, and they're approximately the same size as the ones on that F24. Now, admittedly, I'm not a drone expert. I'm not even very familiar with these things other than the few second-hand ones and gift ones that I've gotten. But I wonder if I can just swap all or a part of this motor in with the dead one. They've got different mount points for the props, but I think if I take out this little retainer pin, I can take off the top part of the motor and maybe interchange it with this one and just use the bottom part of this guy over here. Let's see if that works. This is a really high-tech way to pop the motor apart. Now, will my new working motor windings fit on the old top of the motor? I'm actually pretty surprised that worked, but hey, that's the entire save it for parts philosophy. If you hoard enough broken junk, then you can drop it on the ground. If you hoard enough broken junk, eventually one broken thing will fit onto another broken thing, and maybe you've got a working thing. I had to break the motor off of the arm again to get the wires out enough to solder them. So we've epoxied that again, we're clamping it again, and we're going to let that set for 24 hours and then see what it does. Okay, testing the Contixo F24 Pro with a replacement motor from a completely different drone. Well, amazingly enough, that is working. So again, this is completely different motor. And that new motor plus the epoxy repair seem to be working just fine. I even pushed it as fast and as high as I could, and nothing's fallen off yet. Alrighty, well, it was working pretty well, and we were flying around doing some acrobatic maneuvers. Then I decided to try the return to home feature. And the drone decided that home sweet home, is right up here in this tree. Well, we persuaded the drone out of the tree, and looks like the only real damage is that same motor there that's cracked off again. So just need a little more epoxy, and I think we can fly this again. As far as the camera on the F24 Pro, the quality is definitely better than the F22. It claims to be 4K, but if you read the fine print, it's actually 4K photos and less quality video, but it's still pretty reasonable. Now, it does have some issues. The video seems to cut in and out or jump a little bit, so it's losing some frames somehow, and there's a little bit of a wobble to the video. I noticed that with my other cheap drone where the motors, the magnetic field from the motors actually interfered with the camera. I guess all in all, I'd say the F24 is another decent disposable drone. It's a little bigger and clunkier, so it's less convenient to carry around anywhere. Alright, so to wrap up this video, I got 3 drones for 50 bucks. I have 2 drones that mostly work, one that seems pretty much complete, and another one that's basically complete except it's got some crash damage and that non-standard motor in there, but it still flies. Even in new condition, I can't picture these being as good as a DJI or another name brand drone. But if you can get them cheap enough, they're a good entry-level one that you won't care as much about when they end up in a tree or a lake. That's all I've got for these drones. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.